Diana Ramos, soy del Salvador. Si al mencionar la palabra Eloy me causa como pánico, como miedo, mejor trato no mencionarlo. Que cada día pensaba yo, ahora me voy, ahora voy a salir.
One thing that's really present in my mind a lot of the time is the sheer number of people that are detained in Eloy, and they have on the wall, they say what their latest count is. I think it was definitely more than 1,400 currently there. I guess I would say that there's a company, or that there are multiple companies that are getting paid by the government to keep people in cages.
Porque cada día les pagan, cada día, y entre más tiempo esté uno, les pagan más.
It is in their economic interest to keep costs as low as possible, and that often comes at the cost of the people that are in their facilities. So that means that they will be looking to cut corners financially in every way possible when it comes to food, when it comes to hygiene, when it comes to medical care. That means that they will, as much as possible, have as many of the jobs in the facility done by the people that are detained there, and that those people will be getting paid like $1 a day. Because by law, people who are in those facilities do not have to be paid minimum wage.
4 años y 2 meses, que vienen siendo 50 meses. ¿Cuánto no habrán recibido por mí?
Hello everyone, my name is Ethan Clay, and we are all graduate students at Arizona State University. As you just saw, we decided to look at the Eloy Immigrant Detention Center in nearby Eloy, Arizona. So you saw the size of it, and what we decided to look at was the fact that over the last 12 years, 14 people have died while in detention at that facility, and 5 of those individuals decided to take their own lives. And in the greater context of the federal immigrant detention system, 156 people have died, and at no other facility have more than 1 person decided to end their own lives. So there was something uniquely wrong going on in Eloy. This is a really personal thing for me. I grew up in Arizona, I've been there my entire life, and so I've constantly been surrounded by the issues of immigration. After 9/11, there was a weird, sort of anti-Muslim, anti-immigrant sentiment that was stirred up. After the 2008 recession, there were fears that immigrants were taking American jobs. In 2010, there was a fierce fight in Arizona over what was called SB 1070, a harsh anti-immigrant bill. And over the years, our lawmakers have made several comments at the expense of immigrants, including America's toughest sheriff, Joe Arpaio, and our former governor, Jan Brewer. The thing you have to realize about the discussion in Arizona is it's very centered on the numbers of immigration. How many people come over the border each year? The methods they use, their impact on crime, their impact on the economy. What is not discussed is the human side, as we talked about in the panel earlier. And this is a problem. For us as humans, it's very difficult for us to understand these big numbers. And when policy decisions are made just on these big numbers, there are problems with those policies, and they do not take into account the needs of individuals. And so the question that I've always wanted to be answered is why? Why do immigrants decide to come here? Why did they choose the method they used? And then from there, what is their experience once they arrive in the United States? How do they live their lives? So the goal for our contribution was to kind of bring together the numbers and the human experience so that we can have a cohesive image of what it's like to not only be at Eloy, but to be an immigrant. So that also, when you all hear there have been 14 deaths at this facility, you understand that these are not just 14 deaths, they're just not numbers. These are people that loved, that were loved. They, unfortunately, their lives were ended. And so that is what prompted us to ask the question, what is the human cost of immigrant detention?
Hi everyone, my name is Krista. Unlike Ethan, I grew up in Missouri and had little knowledge of immigrant detention and the issues surrounding it. But then when I moved to Arizona, I got a lot more information, more than just what the national immigration debates are. So in the media, most of the time you hear stories and issues, and they're just discussed in abstract terms. Never do you really get a personal connection to the people you're hearing about. And it was through this project that our class really got to understand what immigrant detention is and how it functions, how people are detained, the food they're fed, the medical care they receive. And we went to a detention center in Florence, Arizona, and it is run by Homeland Security. And it was through this experience that really opened our eyes to immigrant detention. And at times, though, we felt very uncomfortable and we were shocked. And we really wanted to visit Eloy Detention Center. But unfortunately, as a CCA-run facility, they don't give tours, so we weren't able to visit. But through our community partners, such as Diana and Marcos, who you saw on the video, we really learned a lot about how a private detention center is run through them. And for our project, we used our own personal experiences as well as our community partners' experiences to basically make the foundation of our panel. We wanted to highlight how private detention centers are run differently than those by Homeland Security, and how this exacerbates the physical, emotional, and psychological costs of detention. So for our panel, we hope that when it comes to Phoenix, we can enact some change in some form. We'd really like to reach students, those in high school and college who are just beginning to vote. We'd also like to see politicians and other community leaders come to our exhibit. And we want all of these people, as well as the general public, to see that everyone has a responsibility in making political decisions. And when the exhibit comes to Phoenix, it'll be 2018, and that is a election year for state governor of the state. And so this timing is really significant, and we hope that we will be able to educate people on larger issues like this and encourage them to take part in the political process.
Good morning. My name is Heather Rail, and I am a first-year master's student in the public history program. My research topic actually focuses on Jewish migration after the liberation from the Holocaust. I look at their trials and tribulations that the Jewish people had while immigrating to new countries. With this class, I was able to relate my research of Jewish migration over 60 plus years ago to that of the immigration problems that are being discussed in Arizona. For our class and for the aspects of our project, we first started with theory. We studied prisons and incarceration and the nature of reform and punishment. We then moved to the specifics. We looked at Eloy through the numbers. The number of suicides, the number of detainees, the amount of money CCA is paid yearly by the government, and the amount of those yearly profits. And the whole time as a class, we were removed. We were detached. Talking to our community partners like Diana and Marcos, they brought this hidden world of immigrant detention into focus. They made this hidden world visible to us. All of a sudden, the detainees had a face. The struggles of their friends and families had a face. Quite simply, our community partners brought immigrant detention into our world. They moved the story from the theoretical to the personal. By introducing us to their world, they became a part of our world. You should hear Marcos laugh. We don't often. He is almost always calm, some days somber, but mostly stoic. He spends his time visiting LGBTQ detainees in Eloy several times a week. He carries the weight of the world on his shoulders, and still he laughs. The lines on his face are the cost of immigrant detention. We hope that Deanna and Marcos will become a part of your world. In order to get a glimpse into your world, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce Deanna Marcos.
Mi nombre es Diana Ramos y yo estuve en el centro de Eloy por 4 años, 2 meses, que son 50 meses, y aquí estoy apoyando a ellos para este proyecto. Gracias.
My name is Yalda Ramos. I was in Eloy for 4 years and 2 months, which works out to 15 months. I'm here to support this project.
Pues ahora tiene menos del año que yo estuve allá. Por este tiempo todavía estaba en Eloy y pues ahora ya es un futuro más feliz porque ya estoy libre y ya puedo estar sin ningún problema en los Estados Unidos.
So this time last year I was still in Eloy, and right now this is a time I'm looking forward to a much happier future because I can be here without problems in the United States. Thank you.
Gracias.